Hello, and welcome to another Workplace Wellness Hour. Hope everyone's having a great Monday. I am Felipe Cofiño, and I'm here with my amazing co-hosts, Sumana Jeddy and Ashley Fluellen. And today we have a special guest. Kairistie Walker is here to talk to us about the unseen luggage, how professional matters travel into professional spaces. I'm sorry, how personal matters travel into professional spaces. And so this is a topic I think a lot of us can relate to. It is definitely something that a lot of us have probably dealt with or seen. And I'm excited about this. If you're hearing some traffic behind me, I am walking actually down the streets of Washington, D.C. right now as we start this show because I had a late dinner and it went later than expected. So I apologize. So I'm going to be a little bit silent and let Sumana and Ashley take the lead for this beginning part here, and I will join you once I'm actually able to speak without background noise. But as far as introductions are concerned, let's start off with that real quick. First of all, actually, I do want to welcome some people that have joined us already. Melissa Houston and Brother Charlie, thank you for coming. And Lisa Fevick and Jackie Hallberg and Jay. Great to see you all. Remember, let us know where you're watching from and repost the room with your network. Let them know that we're going on live if you think this is a topic that would resonate with them and help them in dealing with how personal matters impact the professional space. So with that being said, my name is Felipe Cofiño. I am a passionate HR executive, a LinkedIn top voice, and most recently, author of a international best-selling children's book, Miranda and Max. And I have been doing LinkedIn for about 18 years and been in HR for 31 years. So workplace wellness, workplace culture is a huge, huge thing for me that I am regularly trying to find ways to make sure that it's relevant, that it's valuable and meaningful to the people that are in that workplace. And I'm excited about today's conversation. I think it's going to be such a valuable conversation for so many of us. But with that, I'm going to pass it over to Sumana to do her introduction. And actually, you know what? Let's do Ashley first, and then Sumana can introduce Kairistie. So, Ashley, over to you.
Thank you, Felipe, and thank you for hosting while you're on your way to the metro. But yes, hello, everybody. I'm Ashley Fluellen. I'm an artist and founder of Dear Imperfect Artists, which is a budding online community helping artists of all levels reclaim the joy of making and develop sustainable creative practices. I'm working on my pitch and it's a mouthful right now. But essentially, as an artist and community builder, I am hoping that all can realize that creativity and art and imperfection work hand in hand and can affect the other parts of our lives if we really engage in our creativity. Super excited for this conversation. I, in my future, want to become a therapist. So I know that that is going to require a lot of helping to resolve disagreements and conflict. And I'm super excited to learn about what Kairistie has to say and to hear about her experiences. So I will go on ahead and pass over to Sumana to introduce herself and our guest.
Oh, thank you so much, Ashley. And yes, kudos to Felipe when he says a passionate LinkedIn and employee culture, HR individual. This is it. Like he walks the talk, right? He is logging in as he is walking down the streets of DC. I mean, how lucky are we to be able to come to you live every other Monday night for Workplace Wellness Hour. Really excited to talk about this topic. Excited to have Kairistie Walker. Before I introduce her, my name is Sumana Jeddy. I am the founder and CEO of Jeddy Wellness. We design evidence-based workplace wellness solutions for businesses, mostly corporations, universities, non-for-profits. Love research, love public health, love the intersectionality of well-being research and being able to make it practical and easy for businesses and individuals to learn from. So that's what I do. I'm a bit of a nerd, which is great because sometimes nerds need people like Kairistie and Ashley and Felipe to allow us to have this space where we can have this conversation and learn from each other. And I always learn some phenomenal things from Ashley and from Felipe. I am excited to have Kairistie Walker, our special guest for this particular show, which is this inevitable thing that happens when you work. Personal matters will enter the workplace. We can try to hide it, but it's not always possible. I met Kairistie on LinkedIn. She is an experienced in ADR. So if you don't know what ADR is Alternative Dispute Resolution. She's a specialist, and the founder, the name of her company is The Experience. And she helps people and organizations navigate family and civil disputes through ADR. So Ashley, like you mentioned, methods like mediation, arbitration, and just creating some practical and tailored solutions for everyone. So there is a bit of I wouldn't say a small part of it. I think there's a large piece of what she does that is great for the folks who are joining us to listen to us live. And we will take some guests up on stage as well. But without further ado, Kairistie Walker, welcome to our stage. Please tell us anything else that I may have missed, and you can unmute, and I'm happy to have you. Over to you. I don't have audio from you, so if you're speaking, I can't hear you. Maybe you can put it in the chat if you can hear me. Ashley, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sumana. And yeah, I'm not hearing any audio from Kairistie right now.
Okay, Kairistie, if you don't mind, maybe just popping back out and maybe popping back in. That usually fixes the problem. And you can pop back in, and then we can try this again. But in the meantime, Ashley, we picked this topic for a few different reasons. I think there's just so much to dissect. In my previous LinkedIn post earlier this week, I talked about, in research, we call these moments when personal matters, whether you're going through a divorce, whether you're going through a breakup, whether you're going through a illness. Sometimes it's really hard to not talk about that in your workplace. And these moments are called spillover moments. That's the technical term, is spillover moments. Is how do we navigate that? And what are some strategies that we as individuals going into the workplace create for ourselves? And what do we expect from our managers? What do we expect from our leaders? And what do we expect from the culture of the workplace that we're a part of? Because there's a lot of cultures, a lot of industries where these conversations are almost you have to keep it a little on the down low. You can't really be very open about it. Work comes first. So while Kairistie joins us and maybe pops back into our LinkedIn audio here, what are your thoughts, Ashley, on when personal matters enter into the workplace? Do you have any experiences? Do you want to share anything? Just help us set the stage while we navigate this technical glitch here with our guest speaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you just explained it. I completely agree with the importance and timeliness of this conversation. I feel like the internet loves to say that we're in unprecedented times, because we are in unprecedented times. And there's so much in life, on a macro level and on a micro level that we are constantly navigating. And then, like you said, Sumana, when we step into our professional settings, how do we, compartmentalize or make space for, or, find that very, that fine balance between the two. And even thinking about this from a generational perspective, I'm a Gen Z, and I think that boundaries and professionalism is something that a lot of my generation and other generations are questioning right now, and figuring out, how can we make workplaces more human? How can we honor the full humanity of employees while still being sure to be professional and hit our goals and do what we need to do at work? So I think that this will be a really interesting conversation. I'm super excited also to hear Kairistie's perspective, actually working in these spaces and navigating these challenges, and figuring out, how we can move to the other side of it.
Yes, love that. Kairistie, are you back? Let's do a mic check. I still can't hear you. Oh, no, I saw you for a moment, and then there you are.
I'm seeing the same thing.
I think
Can
you're
you
back.
hear me again?
Woohoo!
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I apologize. Bear with me. I don't know what's going on, everyone. Is it okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sumana?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So as I was saying, but on mute earlier, so nobody heard me, I'm sure everyone's expecting me to just come in and begin with procedures and policy, what the law may state, stuff like that. But today, I thought I'd start with something a little more fundamental. So as what everybody's been speaking about, it's the luggage that we bring in with us wherever we go, which includes the workplace. So whether or not there's invisible burdens, we think they're invisible. Doesn't matter if it's a healthcare matter, a separation of parents, family transitions, relationships, healthcare. I mean, you can think of your own list of things that happened either to yourself and or other people along the way. It's all deeply impacting. And to just pretend that we can ignore this as soon as we cross the threshold into the workplace, because that's what is more quote unquote professional, is just a fallacy that I think people are trying to continue to perpetuate out of ignorance, not realizing it's coming through loud and clear. So how do we support people ourselves? How do we want to be supported in matters like this? A good part of this is culture. And some of the introductions that I was hearing, like with Ashley and your background on therapy and stuff, it not just in dispute matters, but just in humanity, being a human, a mammal. We have to look at the neurosocial sciences, which of course also includes the behavioral sciences, psychology, social work, so on and so forth. But if we're not adding things like this at the base, I mean, we've all heard trauma-informed approaches and other tag words that are very important. But if it's just words without backing, there is nothing there. They don't mean anything. So how do we help the larger, whether it's a sole proprietor, mom and pop, philanthropy to international conglomerates, governments, whatever the organization is? How do we help ourselves? How do we help others around us? So I ask you, what do you think, Suna? Are there things that you found within your interactions with people in the workplace that you just noticed there was something off? They weren't their normal self.
Yeah, Kirsty, I'm so sorry, but your audio, and I
Of course.
apologize. I don't know if the audio is coming through a little choppy, but I'm having a really hard time under like hearing you, and I think some of our listeners just commented as well. Do you have are you wearing a headset at all?
No. Do you want me to
No.
get one?
I think a wired headset might be really helpful because then at least, yeah, I think we can try that because some of what you said wasn't coming through clearly. Ashley, I don't know if you were able to gather any.
I was going to say, yeah, if you're able to find a wired headset, I found that helps whenever I'm having audio things.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm also bummed because I'm getting like every fourth word that you're saying, and I feel like I'm picking up a lot of great things. And so I want to be able to hear.
Me too. I know. I heard some really good words from you. I really want to listen to you, but I would love the audio. If you don't mind just getting a wired headset.
Absolutely.
And then come right back. And then in the meantime, we'll just read some comments that are in the chat box here. We have Kenneth. I'm sure today's conversation will be so delectable, scrumptiously, deliciously. Okay, there's a lot going on there.
Are you hearing me a little better right now at all? I will get the headset.
It's still a little like I only hear it feels like it's really far away, or as if like there's like a something covering your microphone. It just feels like that.
Okay, so let me leave you with this one, and the audience will go grab something that helps.
Sure.
Um,
Or what you could also
when
do,
you
you could also
a
just use.
fellow colleague or leader, whatever, who just seems off, what sort of things in whatever organization, whether it's the workplace, philanthropic, government, whatever, that you think you can do to help if they seem off?
Okay. We'll wait for Kairistie to come right back. In the meantime, the one thing I kind of want the folks who are listening to us, if there was a couple things that I had sort of mentioned in my LinkedIn post about these moments where, and it's too bad that I didn't fully capture all the wonderful insights from Kairistie. But in our research space, when we talk about spillover moments, there's obviously the positive ones and the negative ones. The negative moments, are the ones where we're taking our work stress into our home or our home stress into our work, which you can let me know in the comments if that's happened to you. I think it's like I said in the beginning of our conversation, it's almost inevitable not to take some of that frustration. Maybe you had a fight with your partner, or maybe your dog was being a little unruly first thing in the morning, and you get a little agitated, or maybe you're going through something really hard, a hard time, and that stress can go into your work environment, and that can cause that negative spillover. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, there's also positive things that can happen. For example, if something great happens in your job, your manager gave you a promotion, for example, you can take those happy moments back to your work, to your home as well. So this is very bi-directional. You can have one thing affect the other. So I know that we talk about work life a lot in this show. We've talked about that in the past. And when it comes to personal matters traveling into professional spaces, there's a few things we need to be aware of, and Ashley did mention that, like how much of this can be compartmentalized, and how much mental health and well-being transparency is available in the workplace, where you can show up and be your authentic self, and is so much of your personal is too much of your personal struggle now impacting your workload, your deliverables, your relationship with your colleagues, and when does that become a manager problem, and when does that become something you have to do for yourself? So we talk about psychological safety a lot, like the environment that we have in the work should ultimately be safe, where we can come up, Ashley, as you mentioned, as your authentic selves. And millennials and Gen Zs alike are looking for that safety and space. But I've also been in work environments where if you bring in your personal matter into the workplace, you may get penalized for that. It's all work, and you just have to deliver, and there's no room for any personal conversations. Kairistie, if you're back, let's just do a quick mic check again. Just say maybe check 1, 2. If you're back with your headphones, and maybe we can have you share a little bit more, or give us something that you shared in the beginning. Okay, maybe you're not back yet. Ashley?
Yeah, I'm not able to hear Kairistie either. I was just going to say.
No, that's okay. This is, you know what, it happens.
It does happen.
This is a live show, and sometimes it happens. So Steve Elliott says, does Blue Jay stress count? I'm amazed how sport can impact people's mood. Yes, I think that's very true. But a game can stress you out, and I've seen that here. And when the hockey games are on, people can get very agitated. And my old boss was very much an Oilers fan, and when the playoffs are going on, you cannot talk to him. He is never in a good mood if the Oilers ever lose. Ashley, any thoughts or comments from you?
Yeah, I wanted to say that oh my gosh, I had my thought and that I lost my thought. Oh, it was in response to what you said, Sumana. And this is the power of a live show, literally. Oh my goodness.
It's one of those things. I think it's one of those shows. You know what? I blame Felipe. He's out having dinner and out somewhere, and this is what's happening to us.
Yes, okay, I remembered my thought though. One of the things that I heard. Oh, is Kairistie back? I'm gonna put myself on mute and see if Kairistie, if you want to give us a test one too.
Yeah. Or it's even worse.
Oh yeah, it's even worse.
I'm hearing reverb.
There's something not working out here. Yeah. Here's what I suggest: close everything off. Close your browser. Like, just start over. I would just say leave the Restream room, close your browser, and start over, or use your mobile. Sometimes that helps. You can just use the link that's on your mobile, and that might be okay. You don't have to be in front of your computer.
While we're waiting for Kairistie, I remembered what I was gonna say.
Go for it.
So one of the things that I heard Kairistie mention at the beginning was, how do we support people? And the word that I got was culture, which I'm really interested to hear more about. But I did just want to bring in a perspective from a teacher friend of mine that I have been staying with and had the opportunity to learn from. And I'm really curious to hear Kairistie's thoughts on this once she returns. He's working in a classroom, so he's concerned with building culture, with the students and making sure that the norms are able to uphold the culture of the classroom. And then when disputes happen, looking back at the cultural norms and deciding, like, was there a breaking of them? Is this something that we can repair from? How will that actually look? And I have a lot of experience in educational spaces and in working with children. And I think that is so huge. I would say I have a little bit less experience, working in corporate spaces or, healthcare spaces or spaces where there's less of a, I don't want to say less, but yeah, I guess spaces where navigating this is much more of a process. So I am curious, like, about the big capital C culture and helping to navigate these disputes and helping to mitigate some of this spillover. Like, I want to know what that actually looks like. And Sumana, I know that you're our resident researcher. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that your comment answers Imran's question really well. So I'll segue into that, and I'll answer. I'll do two birds with one stone. The question was, are there best HR practices other than mental health access to address personal issues affecting work? Great question, because what typically happens is when there's a personal issue, managers and HR I would love to hear from Felipe when he's ready. The answer we typically get is go to your EAP to address any mental health issues that you may be experiencing. Here's your EAP phone number and go get that support. So that seems to be the norm. So that does exist. And the other question was, does peer level mentoring or support system work? Something formal and informal? Yes, that's actually a great question, Imran. And Ashley, when you talk about the culture of the workplace, if I'm in a culture where there is and I talk about this a lot, any kind of peer support network or peer mentoring or even informal groups, buddy systems. Sometimes I know there's people that get buddied up when you get onboarded, but that doesn't always continue on after onboarding. But if there's a possibility to continue that process of having a buddy system where if you are feeling that there's a personal matter that you may not want to share with your boss, you're not ready to talk to this with your boss, but you are maybe wanting to talk to somebody in the work environment, I think having a buddy or a peer a support system, I think definitely reduces stress, can almost help us with that destigmatization of mental health. And it isn't always that and I think this is where we need to be clear about, like, is my mental health and my work being impacted, and do I need to have a conversation with my boss about this personal matter now requires me to take time off work, go to more medical appointments. Perhaps there's other resources I need, or is this personal matter just an inconvenience and in this moment in time? For example, there's a teacher strike going on in Alberta, which is affecting all the parents, because the kids are at home. So that could be a personal matter if on a larger scale. But kids getting sick happens all the time, and those are smaller kind of minor issues that you can talk about flexibility, and maybe talk about compressed work week. Maybe there's opportunities of job sharing. There's so many different things that we can think about in terms of what is the culture, does the culture create safety for me to do that? Or are we in a space where if I share this, like I said earlier, I'm going to be punished. My hours are going to be reduced. I'm not going to get projects. So do you come into work feeling I can never talk about my breakup or my divorce or my health, etc.? So I hope that answers a little bit of that question for you, Ashley, and Imran, for you as well. Kairistie, if you're back, let's do another quick mic check and see if their audio is a little better with your headphones.
Let's try it. I'm mortified, but let's try.
Yes, hallelujah.
That
I can
sounds
hear
awesome. You sound
okay.
Better?
Way better.
Okay, let's hope it stays.
I think it's gonna stay.
do-
So I'm gonna make this hard for you. No, I'm kidding. You're gonna have to repeat some things.
Which is absolutely fine. I think I missed a question that you were just answering as well. Can I help maybe in that area?
No, let's just start with what you had prepped for us for the notes, and then we'll answer some questions in the chat as they come.
Okay. I'm just trying to see where I should start, not necessarily from the beginning. I won't torture people, but let me share a bit of a story. I'm changing names, of course, cross casing and stuff like that to maintain confidentiality, of course. But Anna, we'll call her, mid-level manager, is going through an acrimonious divorce. She had, normally her work ethic, it was astounding. Did her best to separate the personal from the professional, because that's what it's not just a corporation's culture unless they're doing something different. Really, this is a world problem, because we think that we're not supposed to have feelings when we're in like a societal / workplace environment, which just doesn't make sense. You can't separate humanity from humans. So she did her best. She was trying to, keep up with the work, of course, and not talk about her feelings or show her feelings at work, and come on time and make sure that all the projects were taken care of the way she always had. But it peeks through. We can't stop being human. We are what we are. So it started peeking through more and more and more. People start asking questions. Why aren't you doing this? Why are you away so often? What's going on? And often this comes from a negative standpoint. People think, or their intentions are good, or they're just frustrated and they're not even thinking about intentions, and they don't realize the damage that they do, particularly when one is in more of a leadership role. So her, in this case, she was doing a med arb, so mediation that flowed into arbitration. So what items that within her divorce couldn't be dealt with or agreed to within the mediation flowed on into arbitration, where the arbitrator sat and made their judgment, which is called an award for those items they couldn't agree on. But a lot of people don't realize it's not just, okay, here's the process and it's going to be a few days and then you're done. The process can take a while. Yes, it's a lot faster, both mediation and arbitration, as well as when they're combined in a hybrid form, is a lot faster than trial processes. But there's prep work, there's working through. It also depends on what facilitator one has and how they practice within their various ADR or alternative dispute resolution fields. So with Anna, in her case, it was taking 6 months, and then they were wondering, okay, why the not showing up or like, why are you missing deadlines? Why do you seem so sad or anxious more than usual? Why are you withdrawn? There's also within the process that they're also then not thinking about after the process, because we don't just, okay, here's the end of the situation, here's the agreement and the award, and we're done on the legal side of things. Now you have to be back to what you were before. This is a life altering matter, whether it's wanted or not. It still is a transition and a pivot. So I'm going to throw it back to Ashley and Sumna. If you were ever, or have you ever been in whether it's a societal, a community, or workplace matter where you have found that one of your colleagues, friends, leaders that have found themselves in this situation? And if so, how did you approach them, or did you approach them?
Go ahead, Ashley.
I literally just said, out loud. Huh.
So were you afraid?
I was gonna say I know that I have been in this sort of situation, and I will say that I think, looking back, my response was not to approach, just because, of lack of know-how. Like,
yeah, what do we do?
What do you say? And what a shame that is.
Well, I mean, think about it. Nearly 80% of employees are going to go through some form of major relationship breakup, whether that's a divorce or, for those in common law situations, a separation. Either way, the person we thought we were going to be a good chunk of our life with, or all our life with, may have children with, is no longer going to be in the same format that we thought. The dreams that we had, all of the things, all the sadness and anxiety and stress that comes with that, had a organization, workplace, had something in place for where people can go. And I'm not saying, okay, HR should be handling this. HR has a lot of great, supports and people there to help. But when it comes to matters like this, including when there's literally, something more directly internal within the workplace, like disagreement or whatever, it is not the best place to be handling situations like this. So having at least the support and psychological safety set up where people can feel comfortable to say, hey, I notice you're not doing so great. Sorry if I'm wrong. I mean, let me know if I've got this wrong, but I'm at least letting you know that I'm here. And then taking the next steps of, okay, I can't help you, but there's a place that you can go. And that's ideally HR stating, okay, we've got things in place like third-party support, so third-party alternative dispute resolution specialists like myself or others who are not only just trained in this, but by making it third party, excuse me, it also takes away the power dynamics for everybody involved that are worried about this.
Yeah, I love that.
Help and support. And then again, adding to a larger, healthier cultural aspect of the larger organization, that people know that this isn't something to be shameful of, or that I'm going to be insulting someone if I get this wrong. Because I mean, that's all very normal and natural. Ashley, I kind of put you on the spot, sorry. But like over 80% go through just divorce. I haven't gone into, like, I was going to cover other health matters like perimenopause, menopause, andropause. I know some of the buzzwords right now, but these are major life altering. Anyone, unless they've been surgically altered, roughly about age 35 forward deal with these matters, which is altering your physiology. How do you deal with this? How do you get help with stuff like this? So I put it back to you guys.
Thank you so much. I just want to double check if Felipe is back. If he is, he can comment a little bit, but I'm loving all the information that you're sharing. What I really loved also was this element of pre, during, and post. Kairistie, when we're talking about going through these life altering situations, whether it's a divorce or an illness or burnout, even, there's things leading up to it that's causing stress, and then there's the during part of it that is the most stressful, and then there's after the process, like you mentioned. There's different feelings that an individual's going through, the pre, the during, and the post, and I love that you said that, because that distinction of those phases is just as critical. Even in my burnout space, I say there's almost a different set of strategies that you need to give to employees that are returning back to work after burnout. There's different resources we need to give them, because these are individuals that went through something difficult. They had their pre and they had their during. They probably took time off work and now they're back. So we can't look at this cohort the same way as we would look at a person that's never been burnt out before. So there's some literature on that. So I love that. There's a couple of questions here, Kairistie, that maybe you can answer. There's one from, if you hit that chat box on the right hand side, there's one from Imran. There's a comment that says, at my workplace, we have wellness days that employees can use with minimal notification to their managers for personal issues, just one way of accommodating personal or spillover issues. And there's a question from Jay about, when chronic illness or any other sort of medical matters travel into workplaces, what should HR managers, supervisors, or regular managers be thinking about? And I know you wanted to kind of step into that chronic disease space. So maybe this is a good segue into those two elements, wellness days, and then what should HR or managers in particular do to be thinking about supporting their employees?
Well, I think number one, bringing in somebody like myself, and I'm not crazy about this title with workplace restoration, because just from the title, it sounds like something needs to be restored, when a lot of times it's not about restoration, it's about implementing, because it's never been there. And a big reason again, this isn't about searching for business. This is about power dynamics that people may not even realize and or intend to be there. So when you have third party specialists that come in, they're going to see things that the larger workplace doesn't necessarily realize is already there. Plus, they're going to help put in larger programs that help within all the different levels, while you're going through it, as well, or just before you go through it, while you're going through it, and then when you come back, what you're talking about, including burnout. If we don't take care of our humans, we're not taking care of our business success, our future success. And I don't think enough workplaces, I think they're trying. There's some that are doing really well at, but in general, as a whole, I think we need to be doing a lot better. I like having the extra wellness days and all of that, but a lot of times it's not enough. Like, there's countries that don't even have maternity leave yet, or at least not anything that's realistic. And then for some that may have some, it's left up to that individual who feels that I remember one case where they had 3 other moms go on maternity leave, and they were only gone for, I think it was 2 months, 3 months. Well, this lady was just about to go on hers, and she was worried if she didn't look as though she was being more dedicated than the others, because these other women were senior to her in the organization. She thought, oh, I'm going to be penalized, or it's going to be weaponized against me in some way. We're in 2025. And these are still issues around the world.
Yeah, I get it. Ashley, do you have any thoughts and comments? Ashley? Oh, maybe we lost Ashley. Go ahead, Kairistie.
It's all good.
I don't know what's going on today. I think it's one of those weird days where people are just coming in and going out. I do want to maybe take a look at some of the comments here. There was one comment which I really loved from Sajid Kumar, and he says, peer buddies, managers, and HR are not equipped to handle complex personal problems, which I think is exactly what you've also mentioned. And I know, and how exactly can, because of this power dynamic, they're not really in the right place to manage in this business environment. And he says, my wife is a psychotherapist. Certain things need to be left to the expert, and definitely not AI. What are your thoughts on managers using AI to say, hey, my teammate and my team member is going through a hard time. What do I need to say? That's one thing. And while you think about that, I do want to say to people, I'm so sorry, I don't have the link to post to bring you up on stage because I'm not the primary host of the show. Felipe is. So once he's back up in front of his computer, we will post that link to Marcia, Jay. I know if some of you wanted to come join us on stage. So I unfortunately, I don't have access to that. So I can't do it. But Kairistie, over to you. And then Ashley, you can jump in. What are your thoughts on managers using AI to perhaps solve these issues instead of going to you?
Look, I mean, AI has a lot of great aspects to it. It's a great tool in a lot of different areas. But again, we're dealing with mammals, aka human beings. There's going to be a power dynamic even within AI if that's what's going to be used, which I highly, highly disagree with. Quite frankly, I think it's unethical, at least how things stand right now, as well as I think it'll do a lot of damage. Does do a lot of damage. It's the same thing utilizing the HR department, well-intended human beings who could very well also be trained in, because it needs to be somebody who's actually trained also within different ADR formats that they're going to be facilitating. You need to know the dynamics of what you're going to be dealing with. You need to have the expertise, the hours and knowledge, so on and so forth. But you also need to be a third party without any power issues that these individuals are going to be dealing with. This is their livelihood, right? Or the reputation. We have to be very cognizant of that. And I think a lot of businesses don't really understand. They think they're, forgive the term, killing two birds with one stone by using HR for a lot of things, including legal matters, whether it's going through the actual courts of that land or not, whether lawyers are involved or not, because they don't have to be. In a lot of ways, it's, in my experience, and across the board, workplace, family, you name it, when there isn't that competitive adversarial formulation and working through things together, again, without the power dynamics and being able to guide people to agreements that actually work for them. It's better agreements. It's a better award. So again, award is what my decision if I'm sitting as an arbitrator, but even within that process, though much more limited than a mediation process, I still want to make sure that that decision is going to stand up, not just because it's reported to the courts, but because the people who are going to be adhering to it are going to support it and actually listen to it. It's behavior, right? So they've got to buy into it. They've got to be part of it. They have to agree. Just because a signature is on there doesn't mean that it's going to be adhered to. It should be, but there's a reality testing that needs to go on, regardless of whether it's an agreement, so a mediated agreement, or an award, which is a decision.
Love that. Ashley, I'm gonna just check in with you to see what's going on.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. I was hitting my mute button, but it was continuing to show as mute. Sorry about that. I love what you just said, Kairistie, about your response to managers using AI to navigate these sorts of tensions, because I agree. I just think it's so like nonsensical and it really does require that human. I think you said it was like reality checking the human being in the room to help to mediate and make these conversations, move. And I was just wondering, like, when I guess thinking through the power dynamics that obviously show up in these sorts of situations, I'm curious, like, what sorts of tools are you kind of pulling out of your toolkit when in these rooms?
Well, big part of it is my being a third party, so I don't have any skin in the game as to what the outcome should or shouldn't be, outside of I want everybody to be taken care of as best we can, of course, within the law. And again, also depending on what ADR practice is being used, unless it's a workplace restoration matter, which also includes ADR, but it's far more extensive. So it can be helping with creating a healthy culture from the beginning, to altering what culture is there to make it healthier, more inclusive, more successful. For example, if there's high turnover rates or turnover rates, period, like most organizations think that, oh, it's just the cost of doing business. No, there, there's no cost of doing business when you're bleeding money, right? And bleeding money is when you're losing people and not recognizing that you're likely losing people because there's an issue at work. Like a lot of times it's very common, just there's like a pointed finger in the room of just fix that person, or those two. They need, say, mediation, and then they'll be fine. When I actually go in and look at what's actually going on, it's usually either the whole organization from leadership or owner down, or that department. And there needs to be a lot more than just a mediation or an arbitration, which are helpful, but it needs to be more extensive. I don't know, did that help answer a bit?
Yes, it did. Thank you. And Sumana, I thank you.
I want to give Marcia a chance to ask her question. Thank you for joining us on stage. Marcia, go for it.
Hold on. Good evening. So I'm gonna be brief. Thank you, Kirsty. Kirsty, you hit a nail on the hammer when you said menopause. That still gives me anxiety until this day. Because when I was going through menopause, what's this year? This 2025. This was 2011, 12-ish. Baby, it was real, but nobody was even talking about it. That's why I love when people are talking about it. Baby, I was a star employee. Everything. I mean, I did everything above and beyond my job description. And some people was calling me a fool. But long story short, because I was going through that, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to step to my leadership and address it. You know what I mean? So it was no awareness. This is why I'm so aware of things now, Kirsty. So I went from being a star employee. All of a sudden they said, "Oh, you getting a PIP?" I didn't know what the hell a PIP was. I never heard of a PIP in my life. Because I don't have no. Don't laugh. I didn't know what a
Well,
PIP
I'm
was.
laughing because I I bet you, I could almost guarantee that even when they're coming down on you like that, you were probably doing 120 or 110, whatever, the ultimate in your workplace beforehand. Then you're going through this issue and they're blaming and pointing fingers at you for
That's
being
exactly what happened.
lesser
That is
than.
exactly
And
it.
I guarantee you weren't doing your usual 110, 120. You were probably doing 200 plus on your job, but you weren't you weren't the problem. You are not the problem. I guarantee you were still doing a great job. You just didn't have the support that you needed in order to execute it. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I know that it's not a woman's issue because there's also andropause. So until we start dealing with this as a human issue, which, I mean, we're starting to hear more, but until we start actually not feeling or shaming people for things like this, or writing it off as just, oh, that's a personal issue, we're at work, it's not going to change, and it's just going to continue hurting that business and the individuals. Sorry, Marcia, you were wanting to say as well.
No, I just wish you were there at that time because
I'm
nobody was
sorry.
talking about that. And it's really bringing back bad memories for me. That was not a good place in my professional life, you know? And nobody said what you need, how you doing. This is not you. This is why I had empathy for a lot of situations, a lot of people, because I understand it. Like you said, Kirsty, nobody was even sitting down and having these conversations. You know what I mean? Like you said, they was, and like you said, 200% wasn't the word. Cause baby, I almost had a breakdown. It was deep.
And
It
that's
was deep.
real. No,
Baby, it
it's
was it
so
was deep.
real. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I wish I had known you back then, because I would have stood up for you. I know
Which,
Suna would have, as well as Ashley.
oh,
And
we all do. We are big fans of
yeah,
Yes, we are.
Marcia.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Marcia.
But
Hopefully this
thank
was
you.
helpful.
Thank you.
Ashley, do you want to introduce our next speaker?
Yes, and please forgive me. I hope that I can pronounce your name correctly. We have Yadi Shwarji on stage with us. You can take the mic. I'm not able to hear. Yadi Shwarji, are you with us?
Okay, probably.
Sumana, are you?
I'm here. Probably not. I'm seeing a lot of. I did. If you want to pop back in, you can. Felipe, I think you're here. There's a couple of comments. There's so many comments in the chat box here. I just want to get to a few, Kairistie, and I know we're running out of time, so I think we may need to do a part 2 from what I'm seeing in the comments. But
I was gonna say I definitely want to have a part 2 of
we
this.
should do a part 2 of this. But there's a couple of comments from Nick where she says, in the absence of having training as a manager, at the very least, the HR manager should have this training. Not everything should get dumped on HR, of course, but it should be worked into their workload fairly. There was a question about, when it comes to professional space, do you believe our actions in the workplace play a role due to personal matters? ?
Yes. Well, I mean, depending on, I guess, on the matter, but generally, yeah, we don't stop being humans as soon as you cross the threshold.
Yeah, love that. Felipe, are you around for any kind of comments here? I don't know if you're able to hear us, but what I'm really loving here is what you also brought up. You brought up some good concepts about there is this feeling of shame when it comes to personal matters and illness that we have to navigate. You talked about the power dynamics. I think that was very critical. We still want to learn more from you, Kairistie, so I think I might email you or text you and see if we can have you back in our next show. I do want to hear from Felipe for any comments, anything you've been listening to, because it is 7 o'clock and I want to respect the hour that we give to our listeners here.
No, thank you. Look, I've been listening in the background. You all have done an amazing show today. I know that there were some hiccups with the audio, but the reality is that this topic is a very real topic. And I love what Kairistie was sharing. Here's my 2 cents. HR professionals have to be trained in these areas, because the reality is people come to us for help. I get people coming to me asking about menopause, asking about a surgery, asking about lumps on their body, asking about weird spots on their body, and showing them to me. The reality is people go to HR because they think that's a resource for them. And if they aren't trained, this is what I always tell my staff. If you don't have a confident answer, do not give it. Research it or send them to somebody who has the better answer, whether that's sending them to EAP, helping them find a therapist through our insurance program, or a psychologist, helping them find a doctor that's a better doctor than the one they have because they don't like their current doctor. So these are things that are important for people to understand, is that people are going to go to HR regardless. It's up to HR to train managers to know how to handle things they can handle it. And it's one of those things where I always say HR should have a degree in HR, psychology, business, and legal, or law, because all those things come into play. And so the reality is also not every HR person gives a crap. So if you don't have that trust with that HR person, do not confide in them. And I hate to say it, but that's the truth. You find someone in leadership that you do trust and you seek out. Emron had a great question about how do you get guidance around these things when it's not about mental health? And he gave the answer himself. Have that mentor, have that coach that you go to for certain things, that you've built a relationship, that you trust for that guidance. Because we're not legal professionals, we're not medical professionals, so we cannot give out answers to all the things they ask, but we can direct them to the right person. EAP has helped me help people so much because they've been able to find people in the right field for the right problem that covers in their insurance. So the reality is life is going to cross over into work and work is going to cross into life. But Kairistie said something in the very beginning about the luggage that we bring in with us. And that's something that workplace, we got to find a way to.
Yeah, you're back. Sorry, you're back.
All right. If you bring luggage into the workplace, you got to be aware that you're bringing it in, and how are you handling it? Are you making it other people's problems, or are you owning it? Because it's your problem. Can the employer help you? Sure, but it's your problem, and you have to own it. Just like if it's an employer problem, they've got to own it, and it's can you help them? So I'll stop there because I think that this could definitely be a part 2 conversation. So I don't know if you want to do a round robin and share about what's going on with everybody, or do you have any last thoughts you all want to share?
Maybe I'll just give the mic to Kairistie for like a few final closing comments, 30 seconds or so, and then we'll just wrap up here because I think we all have to kind of head out. Any final comments, Kairistie? And also, are you willing to come back and do a part 2? Oh, I hope we didn't lose your audio. Oh no, what's happening today?
The LinkedIn gods got us.
The LinkedIn gods. Ashley, any thoughts from you? I know you have to jet as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we should have a part 2 on this conversation, especially just looking through the comments and seeing all of the questions that came through and knowing that we weren't able to get to all of them. So even if we just did like a Q&A part 2, I think that could be really impactful.
I agree.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry. Thank you. And yes, I'd be honored to come back. There's so much more that I unfortunately was not able to share. But if I can leave a couple thoughts. I loved what Felipe was talking about in regards to HR, human resources. They're not the doctor, they're not the ADR professional. Even with the training, they should not be the ones doing it because they're automatically going to be power issues within that. It doesn't matter if they intended or not. There's a reason why in-house lawyers don't represent anyone outside of the company itself. They're not representing individuals within the company because there's that power dynamics, and it's also what are they, I guess depending on the matter, but what are they really helping with? In addition to that, people don't realize they have a choice in this as well. If there is something directly, like a dispute that directly needs help, this doesn't matter if it's personal or the workplace, you have a choice. You have a choice in the type of ADR format. So it can be, again, arbitration, mediation, negotiations, hybrid forms, again, med-arb, so mediation into arbitration, or arb-med, arbitration and then mediation. And there's some others, but those tend to be the main ones. As well as you have a choice on the facilitator. Plus, there's different types of practices. For example, within mediation, I'd say about 90 to 95%, if not more, of practitioners, mediators, are only trained in interest-based mediation. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm also trained in it. But in my opinion, having a one-size-fits-all approach does not help everybody. It's not the end-all be-all for every matter. So yeah, just some things to think about in the meantime. If any of you are dealing with these matters, you do have a say.
Thank you so much. And do please connect with Kairistie. Final thoughts from me, and really nothing much. We'll try to schedule Kairistie back for the following Monday, so not next Monday, the Monday after that, for a part 2 Q&A, and to kind of dig into some other things we weren't able to get to today. A new blog from Jeddy Wellness will be released on the first Wednesday of next month, which I can't believe November is around the corner. Beyond that, really nothing else to share. And that's it from me. Thank you, Kairistie, so much. Ashley, any final thoughts before we say goodbye? And then I'll pass it over to Felipe to close us off.
Yes, thank you so much, Kairistie, for joining us. I can't wait for our part 2 because I know that you have many more gems to drop, and I'm excited to keep learning from you. In terms of what I have coming up, nothing much. On Sundays from 4 to 5 Central Time, we still have our weekly co-creation group. And I will post about that. I say it all the time, and then, if it happens, it happens, but I will post about that. And then otherwise, just excited to be back in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much, Kairistie, and I will pass it to Felipe for his closing thoughts.
Well, thank you, Ashley and Kairistie and Sumana, for a great session. As far as what I have coming up, I have on next Saturday, or this Saturday coming up, I have a Social Saturday Chat at 12 noon, where we're going to be talking about how AI can find ways to help you with your wellness. And then on the following Monday, we will have Careers, Chaos, and Coaching with Melissa Houston. And then I'll be back in 2 weeks with these amazing co-hosts, Sumana and Ashley, for our next Workplace Wellness Hour. So I look forward to everyone joining us. Feel free to share in the chat if you were team live or team replay. And if you have any questions that you wanted answered, go ahead and put them in there. We'll go back and look at those responses and get back to you. With that being said, hope everyone has a wonderful Monday. Stay safe, stay well, and take care of yourself. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Kairistie. Talk to you soon, hopefully in 2 weeks.
You.
Bye.
Definitely. Bye.
United, together, here we stand. Sumana, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold, building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead, a workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works, put wellness, practical magic for all.